Minister, thank you so much for joining us here
My pleasure.
at the PLSA studio. You're here in front of an audience of 1,500 pensions professionals. What are you going to be setting out as your priorities in what is a relatively new role to you?
Well, I want to make it very clear that I wanted to do this job, that I'm very passionate about what we're trying to do, that I'm passionate about pensions, and more particularly I want to try and persuade people that they need to engage with and save and then get a pension in a proper way. That's the key thing for me.
It's a huge minefield, pensions. It's a huge potential
Speak for yourself.
time bomb coming up, isn't it, with lots of people needing to save more?
Well, I don't agree necessarily, because auto-enrolment has transformed the way in which people are saving, and there is no doubt that prior to auto-enrolment coming in, there was a downward trend. But since the arrival of auto-enrolment, there has been a massive success. You know, we've got over 8.5 million people signed up over the last 5 years. We've got future hurdles to overcome, and I think actually that there is a positive message to give. I've got to make that as well, but there's a positive message to give that over the last 5 years we've seen a transformation in a way that we did not expect and has exceeded everyone's expectations.
And do you see that as continuing with the increase in percentages in auto-enrolment coming up?
Yes, I do. I really do. I think we look at the dropout rates have been way lower than we thought they would be. And I think it is a very encouraging thing that younger people in particular are engaging with auto-enrolment and participating to the extent that they are.
You talked there about being other hurdles to overcome. What sort of thing do you see on the horizon as being a challenge?
Well, I think in relation to auto-enrolment, it is very much the case that we need to get past April this year and April next year. I've also got the auto-enrolment review, which I've got to make a statement to Parliament on before Christmas, so within a matter of 6 weeks or so. And then that review will shape the way in which we then move on to what we're trying to do in relation to self-employment. So I'm going to be sitting and listening to Matthew Taylor. I've met with Margaret James, the Self-Employment Minister, only yesterday, and what we're going to look at in terms of the options that lie ahead, whether it is in relation to older workers or younger workers under the present thresholds.
Because auto-enrolment isn't going to be a complete cure-all, is it?
Well, I think it is a very, very, very good start. I think we need to build on that, and then we need to consider and assess what the future holds thereafter.
Do you think that people will be putting enough in their pots in total altogether when you look at how long people will be living though, and we do need to educate people better about not just relying upon a basic auto-enrolment amount? There needs to be more education about what we need at the end of our lives.
Well, I think you can't forget that we've enhanced and improved the state pension age. State pension itself, and that the state pension is a much better offer than it ever was before. I think at the same stage you look at the success of auto-enrolment over the last 5 years. I think we build upon that, and I think we have to then make sure that people are engaged, whether it is through dashboard, whether it is through a midlife MOT, with what the future holds, so that they then have that engagement and a reassessment of their finances so that they have savings for the fuller lives that they have now.
You talk about engagement there. There's been a lot of discussion about setting out a real target for people to aim for. Do you think that's a good idea?
Well, I think targets are one of the things that we're going to consider as part of the AE review. That's most definitely on my agenda.
And while you're here, you've got an amazing opportunity to glean the opinions of all the biggest policy makers, decision makers in the industry.
Yes. Well, for my part, I'm going to be wandering around the hall. I'm going to be going to meet people. I'm going to be sitting in a couple of the breakout sessions and looking forward to learning stuff, and also, most importantly, chatting to people, getting feedback, getting a real understanding of what their hopes, dreams and aspirations are, both for the business and for my role itself.
Guy, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.